Om
Good.
Shanti Shireen Ben.
Om Shanti.
Such a fortune that we are in Tampa now.
It's my fortune to be with all of you.
Yeah. Okay, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Feels very avyakt, the whole atmosphere everywhere, even connecting online and even coming into the center in LA, everything feels very avyakt. So today we are revising the Murli of, hold on, I don't remember the date.
November 28, 1969.
November 28, 1969. One of the things that really struck me about the Murli was how clear Baba is. I feel that even the Avyakt Murlis have a, there are Sakar Murlis, and then there are Avyakt Murlis from 1969. And then there are Avyakt Murlis from 1970 to about 74, 75. And then there are Avyakt Murlis, let's say, from 75 to the mid-80s. And then there are Avyakt Murlis from mid-80s to mid-90s, like that. And then the Avyakt Murlis at the end, like in 2015, 16, 17, the tone of each of those Avyakt Murlis is different. Like 1969 Murlis are different from, let's say, the Murlis that Baba spoke in 2015. And I feel that in 1969, Baba was very, very clear, and he was also speaking to a very selected group of individuals that he knew very, very well. He knew in the Sakar form, and he knew them that they were very serious effort makers. And so I feel the Murlis in 1969 are the ones that we really need to pay a lot of attention to, because Baba is talking to his very close children. And so when you sent me that Murli, I was really glad. I was thinking, oh, it's a 69 Murli. Because I was thinking of those things. I was thinking how Baba gives so many secrets in the 1969 Murlis. One of the things that I've noticed about the Murli is that the yuktis that Baba gave for making spiritual effort, making whatever is physical into spiritual. And the first sentence that I really understood on a deeper level in the Murli was the sentence of how to make your vision spiritual, how to make your vision and attitude pure. And he was saying, so how do your vision and attitude become pure? And he was talking about, and the answer he gave was spirituality in your vision and attitude. And then he goes on to talk about spirituality in our vision and attitude. And so I was thinking we should revisit spirituality. We should revisit what does it mean to be spiritual, especially in today's day and age. No, what does it mean to be spiritual? One of the things that Baba later on says is you have to give the right food to the soul. You have to give the food of remembrance. And so what happens is, when you talk about food, right? When you talk about food in the physical sense, you have a food pyramid. And in that food pyramid, you have to eat so many carbs, you have to eat so many fruits, fresh fruits and vegetables. um, it's okay, we know you can hear me. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, we can hear.
How many? So there are these. One is the you have the carbs, and then you have the fruits and vegetables, and then you have the fats and things like that. And as you progress, you eat less and less. And so I was thinking in the same way that to provide the right spiritual food that Baba is asking us to do, especially in this Murli, we also have to have a food group. And the biggest food group that we have to be able to have remembrance, to be able to make everything. So the whole theme of the Murli is, how do you make something that is not spiritual into something that is spiritual? And so what is it that I, the soul, am feeding myself so I can make it spiritual? So, for example, if I say that I am, he gives many very beautiful examples, like he's saying you shouldn't just walk. You should feel you're walking towards your destination, you're walking towards the golden age, you should do all of those things. But let's go back to this first, this spiritual vision and attitude. And before we talk about spiritual vision and attitude, I want to talk about what is it that I'm feeding the soul. And what I'm feeding the soul, so like I was saying, like you have in the food pyramid, you have carbohydrates like, breads and pastas and stuff like that, which really are not that great for you. But that's what they ask you to do, like whole grains and all. At the bottom of the food pyramid, I feel the thing that we have to do, the best thing that we have to do right now is we have to take in a lot of knowledge, because on the basis of knowledge, and then the next one is yoga. And so knowledge really is the food of the soul. And so where we get that knowledge, how we get that knowledge, and how we are able to digest the knowledge is all based on what am I giving myself. And so one of the things that I always feel, which is very, very important, is the Sakar Murlis. And I feel the 1969 Murlis are kind of in between Sakar Murlis. And, towards the end, when Baba was giving a night class, was how he used to sound in the 1969 Murlis. And then we have the Avyakt Murlis. And so it's almost like the 69 Murlis are the in-between, the bridge between a Sakar Murli and an Avyakt Murli. And so one of the things we have to really deeply, deeply feed the soul is a good diet of Sakar Murlis. And not only feed the soul a good diet of Sakar Murlis, the next thing we have to feed the soul is a good practice from the Sakar Murlis. We have to take a Murli and we have to practice. And in the Sakar Murlis, you would be surprised how many drills, not just in the Avyakt Murlis, later on in the 90s, Baba used to take a drill and, practice the drill. And he used to say, children, stop for a minute, let's practice this drill and things like that. He used to say that, but in the Sakar Murlis, they were just part of the Murli. And so I feel like when the soul goes through a Sakar Murli and reads it over and over and over again, we are helping the soul digest an Avyakt Murli, because the Sakar Murli helps us digest the Avyakt Murli. If we don't have a good diet of Sakar Murlis, we are not able to digest the Avyakt Murlis. And so, and especially if I don't have a practice from the Sakar Murlis, right? It could be a simple practice. It could be a simple statement like, it's not a simple practice, but it's a simple statement like, you know, let's say the statement is become Swardarshan Chakradhari, right? It could be a simple statement like that, but am I practicing that? And so in the last few days, in the last 1 week, I've noticed Baba at least give 4 or 5 drills, 4 or 5 really, really good drills. And one of my, when Baba used to come in the 90s and the 2000, in the year 2000 and in the 90s, what I used to do is, remember Baba they used to be the Sakar Murli of the day in the morning, and then Baba used to come in the evening to do the Avyakt Murli. So what I used to do is I used to take an Avyakt Murli, and I used to take the Sakar Murli from that morning and see what did Baba say based on the Sakar Murli of that day. And you would be surprised how much of what Baba said in the Avyakt Murli was based on the Sakar Murli of the day. And so, and I'm sharing that because what Baba said today in the Sakar Murli is so much of what Baba said in the Avyakt Murli we are revising today, which again, I forgot the date, sometime in November. And so how much of it today Baba said. So today, one of the drills Baba kept talking about is about soul consciousness. I am a soul, I am bodiless, you know, being that soul, being a bodiless soul, being in that remembrance of Baba as a bodiless soul, all of those things he said today. And so, interestingly, that is the message of the Avyakt Murli we are revising too, is if I want to make something, if I want to make my vision pure, then I have to spiritualize my vision. And he talks about how our vision is really connected to our attitude. So I think it was Jagdish Bhai who came up with these 7 things that are connected, no? He says first is vision, then is attitude, then is action, then is world, you know, vritti, kritti, all of those things. And I feel that if all of this, right, my vision is connected, then my attitude is connected, then my actions are connected, then the world we live in is connected. So the first thing that we have to change is my vision. But even for my vision to change, I have to really transform my thoughts. So that is where I first have to start. Even before my vision, I have to transform my thoughts. So Baba is asking us in this Murli that our thoughts have to be very spiritual. And so what does that mean? My thoughts have to be spiritual. My thoughts only, and one of the things I quote from the Murli is that while seeing the body, even while looking at it, you will be busy in seeing yourself as a soul, right? So that is one important practice that Baba is given from of being spiritual. And so even, let's say I'm looking at something, right? I'm looking at this computer screen right now. Even while looking at the computer screen, I have to go within and I have to see myself as a soul. And so one of the 3 main important organs of the body, the 3 main important organs of the body are the eyes, the sense of smell, and what we hear, right? Taste is important too, but we don't engage it as much as these 3. Our sense of smell, what we see and what we hear, we engage them all the time. Especially what we see and what we hear, we engage all the time, right? And so actually in Vedic literature, it says that the most important organ is the hearing. And when someone is dying, that's the last thing to go. Their hearing is the last thing to go. So even if they are in coma, even if they are, unconscious, they can still hear you. Like in the hospital room and stuff, if people are talking, they say, oh, they can hear you, talk to them and stuff like that, because they can hear you. And so we are engaging these organs. We're engaging our ears, we're engaging our eyes. And so what we have to do is to make these two spiritual. I have to devise today, based on the what Baba is suggesting today, is I have to devise exercises to see but not see, to hear but not hear. And so what that means is when I see something, right? So you focus, you have to practice this. So when you see something, when you see the computer, you see whatever it is, you see the stool, you see the cushion, this is all what I'm seeing here in front of me. You go within and you stabilize, you pull yourself inside into the cottage of your forehead, and you see yourself as a soul. And we have to practice this. So let's practice that for just a couple of minutes. See something, pick something in the vicinity. It could be a cushion, it could be a stool, it could be the clock, it could be a photo frame, something. See something. And while seeing it, pull your consciousness inside, pull everything inside, and go inside and see yourself as that being of light, as that point of light right here. Again, see that same image, see that point, what you're seeing, and then again go inside and see yourself as a point of light. And so we have to keep identifying ourselves as this point of light, the life force of this body. I have to keep identifying myself as that. And when I keep identifying myself as that, that is when my vision becomes spiritual. And when my vision becomes spiritual, then my attitude becomes spiritual. And when my attitude and vision become spiritual, then they become pure. And the next thing is about hearing. So let's do it with hearing too. So wherever you are sitting, I want you to, any ambient noise that you hear, anything, it could be the chirping of the birds, whatever it is, the humming of the air conditioning, whatever it is, pick a noise that you're hearing, and I want you to focus the soul, focus the soul on that noise. And then very gently, you talk to yourself and you say, I'm hearing that noise through these ears, and the soul is being recorded on the soul. The soul is hearing it, the soul is listening to it, but it's all coming through the physical medium of ears. So you hear, if you want to close your eyes, you could hear the noise again, go within, become aware of yourself as a soul, as a being of light, and that you, the soul, are listening to that noise. So when you are able to do this kind of practice, especially those two sense organs of eyes and ears, when you're able to do that kind of practice, then very slowly you start transforming what is, Baba today said, lokik into alokik. And so you have to start somewhere, no? Whatever transformation, no, we have to start somewhere. And so where do we start? And so it is not an accident that Baba first says to, it's not an accident that Baba first asks us to become soul conscious and then remember him. And so how many people do you know who are not BKs who remember God? I know so many people. They are totally, totally in love with God. But really, for our remembrance of God to be effective, we first have to become soul conscious. If we don't become soul conscious, then our remembrance is not effective. And today, at the end of the Murli, Baba says that, you don't have to ask. You're not devotees. You don't have to ask. You can, this is your right. Whatever it is your right. And so when does something become our right from Baba? When does something become our right from Baba? I have a question, if you can answer. I want someone to answer that question. When do we have a right?
When we are Baba's children and he's our father.
Okay, so when you accept you're Baba's children and when you accept he's your father, okay?
We have to be honest with Baba.
Okay, the next one is you have to be honest with Baba.
At
You
the
have to
same
have complete
frequency
faith
as
in Baba,
You have to have faith in Baba.
that he is the father
follows.
and you are the children. I think always in remembrance, I think then and then only.
Okay, always in remembrance.
I am a student, Baba's child, and I'm learning every day.
Okay, I'm a student, Baba's child, I'm learning every day.
When we are in the soul
at the
conscious
same
stage.
frequency as the Baba.
Neela, was it? I didn't hear you. I heard, who is the previous one who said?
Neelam, and it's at the same frequency as the Baba.
At same frequency as Baba. Someone said something before.
It
Oh,
was
Divya.
Divya.
Okay.
I was saying when we are in soul conscious stage.
Okay, when we are in soul conscious stage. All of those are true, but there's one thing we have to do. To really have a right over Baba, we have to follow Baba's directions. And Baba's directions is Baba's Shrimat. And so Baba's Shrimat really is very big, right? It's very deep, it's very big, and it encompasses everything. One time I heard the story from Didi Ji. You know who Didi Ji was? She used to be the administrative head along with Dadi Prakashmani when Brahma Baba became Abhyakt in 1969. So she passed away in 1982. So from 1969 to 1982, along with Dadi Prakashmani, she used to be the administrative head. And one day, Didi Ji was in Delhi and a few other places doing service. And then she went back to Madhuban when Mama left the body in 1965. So from 1965 to 1969, she was with Baba and she was taking care of whatever duties Mama took care of. And one time, Didi Ji went to Baba and said, Baba, today I didn't make any mistakes. And Baba said, but how much remembrance did you have? Every moment did you have remembrance, no? So today Baba is especially asking us to have 8 hours of remembrance. And so if from today's Murli Shrimat is 8 hours of remembrance. And so if I'm not having 8 hours of remembrance, I'm not following really Shrimat. So I'm not saying this to make you feel bad, so don't feel bad. I definitely am nowhere close to having 8 hours of remembrance, so I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that Shrimat is a very, very big topic. Shrimat is a very big topic, and it encompasses a lot of things. But there are 2 or 3 main Shrimats that we have to follow. I don't have to have full 8 hours of remembrance like he said, or I don't have to completely be so, like all of you said, so conscious or so honest and, completely everything is accurate. I don't have to be all of those things. I mean, I have to work towards them. Eventually I have to have that. But right now, to begin with, if I want to have right over Baba, I have to begin with 3 main Srimats that I have to do. One is Murli every day. And when we say Murli every day, it has to be at the same time every day. Not one day I get up at 9 o'clock and I read the Murli. One day I get up at 10 o'clock and I read the Murli. One day I read the Murli before I go to bed at, before I go to bed. Not like that. There has to be a discipline about Murli. And before I listen to the Murli, always from the center, the discipline has to be you listen to the Murli from the center. And before I listen to the Murli, I take a shower. I sit for at least 15 minutes or 5 minutes, if you cannot sit for 15 minutes, of yoga. And then I listen to the Murli, right? And so that is one basic Srimat we have to do. So this is, what is it that I have to do to have right over Baba? So that is the basic, one of the basic Srimats I have to do is Murli. And the next Srimat I have to do to have a right over Baba is celibacy or pavitrata. I have to do that. If I am not celibate, if I am not practicing purity, then the child does not have a right over Baba. It's not that Baba says, hey, you child, you're not practicing purity, you don't have a right over me. The soul, the soul, block it. If there's a huge waterfall somewhere, or if there's a sunlight somewhere, the sun is really shining bright, especially here, the sun is really shining bright. And so the sun is really shining bright, but if I keep myself in a dark room, will I be able to access the sunlight? No, I won't be able to access the sunlight. So to be able to access the sunlight, I have to go into the sun. And so in this particular place, if I want to have rights over Baba, I have to follow purity. And the third one, Baba said today in the Sakar Murli, and the third one to have a right over Baba is my diet has to be pure. I don't eat whatever I want. I don't eat wherever I want. There is a pure diet. And so at least these 3, right? So sometimes I get up for Amrit Vela. Sometimes I don't get up for Amrit Vela. Amrit Vela is the time when really Baba, really you feel that you have a complete right over Baba. But even that, Baba will forgive. Even that, if you say, sometimes I get up, sometimes I can't get up, it's okay. Baba will say, it's okay, child, it's okay. But if I don't do these 3, then it's not okay. Then I am blocking the right. Baba is not blocking it. I am blocking the right I have over Baba. And so those are the 3 things that I have to be really, really careful about. And one of the things that Baba talks about in the Murli is that my thoughts, words, and actions. And he says he uses the example of Vamana, that midget avatar. I don't know how many of you are not Indians in this session. But there is the avatar of Vamana where he came as a midget and he wanted 3 feet of land, like wherever he put his land. And then the person, whoever is asking, says yes. And then he becomes this giant, big. And he puts 3 feet and then it covers the whole world and he takes the whole world. And so Baba is saying it's like he tricks Maya and he's able to take that from Maya. And so what are these 3 three steps, the three steps that Vamana takes, right? In the spiritual context, what are these three steps? So the first step is our thoughts. And what does it mean for a step to be a Vamana step? Is thoughts. What does it mean that when I take my thoughts, when I have the thoughts that are exactly like Baba, that is when I am totally soul conscious, and when I'm able to remember Baba, that is how my thoughts are. It's the same step as Baba. And then Baba goes on to talk about words. And so in terms of words, that we are able to pick up pearls, or able to only that which is benevolent comes out of only that which is valuable and benevolent comes out of our mouth. And so that is the step of the words. And the third step is actions. And in actions, Baba talks about two parts to the actions. He says one part is where you feel that everything that you do, every action that you perform, that everyone around you is seeing and will do the same. So you have to really see yourself on the stage of the world, no? On the world stage, you have to see yourself on the world stage, and you have to feel that every action you perform, that everyone is seeing you do that. And that used to be Mama's slogan. Whatever I do, others are going to do the same thing. Others are seeing me do it, and others will do the same thing. So that's part A of third step. So we have the step of thoughts, we have the step of words, in a step of actions, there's part A, which is others will see me do actions and will do the same thing. So my actions should be accordingly. And part B is that whatever actions I perform, I will receive the reward of it. That if I don't perform actions, then there is no reward. So it's very important to understand that step is very, very important to understand. If I sow something, I will reap it. If I don't sow it, then I won't reap it. Right? And so we have to sow the seeds of soul consciousness right now. And when I say we have to sow the seeds of soul consciousness, think about any seed, right? You first have to decide the soil is right. You have to decide that it's getting enough water. Once you sow the seed, it's getting enough water, it's getting enough sunshine, it's in the right spot, it's getting enough nutrients like fertilizer and all of those things. And so every action we perform, we have to understand that, yes, this is an action that Baba wants me to perform. This is an action that is going to be beneficial. And this is an action that if I don't perform, then I will not receive anything. So I have to really understand that if I don't do, I don't get. And it doesn't matter, right? In Baba's, if let's say someone else does, right? Someone else does something and someone else is getting the credit for it. We don't have to prove anything at that point. Because if it is done in remembrance, just remember, if it is done in remembrance, and if I, the soul, have complete right over Baba, those two things, if it's done in remembrance and I'm following Srimad, it doesn't matter even if the action is at work. and it's not directly related to anything to do Baba's task, because I am totally Baba's responsibility at this point, then Baba will give me the reward of that action. I don't have to worry about it. Then I have planted the action in the right spot. I've given it enough water. I've given it enough sunshine. I've given it enough fertilizer, everything, and that action will take benefit. Will take fruition. There will be fruit. The tree will grow, and there will be fruit from that action. So those are the three things that in the in the Murli, especially Baba was talking about, that steps of Vamana. And I want to end with this, and I wanted to share a couple of my experiences with Dadi Janki after this. One of the things that Baba said is, in this, is he was talking about pearls, right? Only pearls. We have to only take in pearls. And in Vedic, when Baba says a swan, right? A swan intellect. We have to become swan intellects. In Vedic literature, it's not where Baba gets this thing of the swan intellect is in the Vedas and in the Upanishads and all of that. Swan is used a lot. And I don't know if swans are able to do this right now, but before, whenever those scriptures were written, swans must have been able to do that. That swans were always in water, and they used to feed off of lotus plants. And when they feed off of lotus plants, the swan had the capacity to go into the stem of the lotus plant and just take the milk and not the water from that stem of the lotus plant. And so it had the capacity to take only that which is valuable from the stem and leave everything aside. And so if we do, I feel that is in the nutshell, what Baba is asking us to do from today's Murli, is if I'm able to do what Baba is asking me in today's Murli, turn Lokik into a Lokik, take those 3 Vamana steps, have a right over Baba, make my vision and attitude spiritual, and all of those things, that is what I'm doing, is I'm looking at the world. And currently, everyone in the world, everywhere you look, everyone in the world is not having the best of time. And many people are really struggling a lot. But if I am spiritual, if I do all the things that Baba asked me to do in this Murli, then I will be like that swan. There will be a whole bunch of just water, and there'll be a whole bunch of just dirt. But as a swan is able to just take the milk and leave the water and the dirt aside, that I will become that swan, and I will be able to take only that which is valuable for me. And so that is what we become. We become these swans, these swan children of Baba, if we follow what Baba is asking us to do in today's Murli, the Murli that we are revising today. How do we do this? Do we have questions? Geeta Ben, Hina Ben? Do you ask questions, or should I share some more? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Share more.
You can share more.
You
Yeah.
can, okay.
સરોજબેન તમારો મ્યુટ કરો કેમેરો. સરોજબેન તમારું કેમેરા મ્યુટ કરો પ્લીઝ.
I want to share a couple of my experiences with Dadi Janki. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I came into Gyan about 25 years ago. And the first time I saw Dadi was in Miami. She came to Miami for something. And I saw Dadi in Miami. And I feel that before I recognized Dadi, that Dadi recognized me. Because she just kept looking at me. And right after that, I heard from Dorothy Ben, who was in the center here in Tampa at that point, that Dadi said that I should start living in the center, because I wasn't living in the center. I was very new in Gyan when I first saw her. And I remember looking at Dadi and thinking, I knew she was very spiritual, and I knew she was very, her Gyan was very deep, but I didn't totally recognize Dadi. And then one time what happened was, you know how I'm sure many of you have experienced this, for some odd reason you start feeling sad and you don't know why you're feeling sad. That used to happen in my early years in Brahman life. It was not like I had any kind of bad things happen to me in my life or anything, but just randomly I used to start feeling sad. And so this was in Madhuban, and I was feeling very sad. And I went, this must have been in the 90s, I went to say goodbye to Dadi Janki before I was leaving, in Indraprasth.
Mute your the camera. Please mute your camera.
And so what happened was, so when Dadi said that, so when I saw Dadi, I remember, and I was still feeling sad. I was leaving Madhuban. Went to say bye to her in Indraprasth, and I was still feeling sad. And Dadi was sitting there, and she said, "Come here." And she just she got me close. She gave me a hug, and my heart was feeling very heavy that day. She got me close, and she rubbed my, like this she said, she did on my heart, and she gave me a hug, and she said, "Everything will be okay, don't worry." And would you believe it? I did not feel sad after that. I left Madhuban feeling so happy. And I was thinking just her drishti, just her everything was so powerful that happened. There was another story, many, many stories with Dadi, and I'm sure all of you have met Dadi many times, and all of you have many, many stories you would like to share. Someone was recently telling me that, and it's not like she met Dadi many times or anything. She was just a few times, but she was saying she always felt when she met Dadi Janki that she was, like when Dadi gave her drishti, like she was the only person in the room, that Dadi just focused, like everything, like her love and her tireless service, how she served. But anyway, this one instance she was sharing with us, that there were just a very few of us in Harmony House in New York. And so what she was sharing is when they first started, the first center they opened in Delhi. And so Baba sent first two people that went to that first center that opened was Didi Ji, remember the Didi Ji I mentioned, and Dadi Janki was sent, and Manohar Dadi too. So all three were sent to this tiny room which would have been 10 feet by 10 feet, right? And in this 10 feet by 10 feet room, the bathroom was outside. They had to take a shower, and bathroom was outside. And in this 10 feet by 10 feet, they had a little box. And in this box was their whole kitchen, small box, and the box had the whole thing. They had a little stove. It had, some flour and some spices, that's all. And their idea of food was they used to take the chapatis, make the chapatis, put spices in it, and that was it. There was no sabji or anything like that. It was just chapati with spices in it. And whoever came to class, right? Everyone. So the two sisters were sitting there in that room. So after they finished cooking, they used to close the box, keep the box aside. The sleeping, cooking, eating, all of that room was, that was one room. And so when someone came to take the course, and so when anyone came to take the course, where will the other two sisters go? There's nowhere to go. They would sit in one corner, and Dadi, Janki, and this brother who came to take the course was in one side of the room, and she was giving the course, and she felt the drishti of that brother was not very pure. And she said, I told that brother, and you know how she becomes this real Shiv Shakti. And she said, I told that brother, I am not the woman you're looking for. You leave now, this and that, right? And she was very strong. And then she looked at me and she said, if anyone comes like that to the center, what will you do? And I said, Dadi, I will do exactly what you said, asked me to do, right? Of course, no, nothing like that happened. But how she was so, like she had the ability to see what is needed at what time, and how she was so strong about that. And another thing I've noticed about Dadi Janki, especially towards the end, is I saw her in November in Madhaban. The time that I really felt there was a big, amazing presence of Dadi was last year in Peace Village when she came for the teachers' retreat. She came for the teachers' retreat. And I really felt every time Dadi came into the room, and everyone who was in the room, you can ask Vinu, you can ask Geeta Ben, everyone who was in the room will tell you, as soon as Dadi came into the room, you felt Baba was there. I felt that Baba was using Dadi Janki instead of Dadi Gulzar. And because Dadi Gulzar was not there, but Baba was using Dadi Janki in a different way. It was almost like Baba was using Dadi Janki like Shiv Baba used Brahma Baba. That Dadi was present, and like Brahma Baba was present and Shiv Baba was present. So in this case, Dadi was present, Bab Dada was present. And every time Dadi gave Dvishti, that was the feeling that Baba was giving Dvishti. So towards the end, I remember in the beginning of 2000 or something, Dadi one time had this question to Dadi Gulzar, is when do you know we will become perfect, right? That was the question. We were having a chit chat with Dadi Gulzar and Dadi Janki. And when do you know we will become perfect? And Dadi Gulzar said, when someone sees us and they see Baba. And so I felt that at the end, that Dadi really became perfect. Because every time, it was not just my experience, everyone's experience was that every time you saw Dadi, I felt I was seeing Baba. It was not like I was seeing Dadi, but that I was seeing Baba. And so, and lately, since Dadi became, I really feel that the feeling is that Dadi became Avyakt. And, because I never really met Brahma Baba, and I don't know if I met Brahma Baba in my last life, but in this life I didn't meet Brahma Baba. And he passed away before I was born in this costume. And so the feeling of that, I felt, like everyone who meets Dadi, they feel close to Dadi. I feel now I go into the subtle region, whether it's offering Bhog, whether it's Amrit Vela, whether it's morning meditation, whether it's evening meditation, along with Baba, I feel I am connecting with Dadi. And I'm connecting, and I feel that Dadi is also encouraging the soul to become more avyak, to make the right effort, to do all of those things. And so that is my feeling the last few days. It's almost like I'm having an avyak presence of Dadi. So, my dear angels, souls, that is my experience. If you have any questions, you can ask me now.
Om Shanti, sister. This is Kannan. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for Geeta and for arranging. I recently, I started to listen your commentary on the meditations, the sweetest melody of silence. And other one you had is a real reflections. You asked us to sit in front of the mirror and listen and do it. Will you explain quickly for everyone so they may get experience?
That's a CD we made a really long time ago. And I do that sometimes, and it really helps to become so conscious. And also another thing which I don't explain in that CD is for us is if you put, one of the diamond tilaks we get, just the tilak is just a little stone, like a diamond-like stone. If we put that and we look into the mirror and we just keep looking at that stone and just keep identifying, I'm not this body that I look in the mirror. I'm beyond this. I look like that stone. I'm inside the forehead. I'm sitting here. And so it's another tool. It's like another method. It's another yukti to really become soul conscious, to use a mirror and to see yourself and to go within and become soul conscious.
Thank you. Thank you, sister. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, Sister Shireen is very nice and very, very beautiful. Thank you.
Om Shanti.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Shireen.
Thank you, Baba. My fortune. Thank you, Geeta Ben.
Thank you, Baba, and thank you, Sister Shireen. I heard you for the first time, but I think it was just every time I hear something different, I think I always get something really beautiful message. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sister.
Thank you, Om Shanti.
Sister Shireen, Om Shanti, I do have a question.
Sure.
In Murli, Baba said, why do obstacles come in front of you? Because you have imbibed the knowledge in the wrong way. That's what he has said. Can you clarify a little bit on that, please?
When was this? Today?
In this Murli.
Oh, in this Murli.
Yeah, the Murli that we were churning.
Right. The November 1969 Murli.
Yes.
I don't remember that, but my feeling about obstacles, my thoughts about obstacles are that an obstacle is only an obstacle if we think it is an obstacle. Because you can think of something that happens as important, right? So let's say you are children, right? You're children, you're playing in the schoolyard, and one child gets chicken pox.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're playing with that child, everyone around catches chicken pox and gets chicken pox, right? And so you can think of it as an obstacle, or you can think of it is as, you know, it's good I got chicken pox, because then when you grow up, when you become an adult, if you don't get chicken pox as a child, then there's a chance that you might get measles, or you might get shingles, or other, even which is worse. So something that happens as a child, and it's very easy, if it doesn't happen as a child, when you become an adult, it just is very, very, very difficult. And so I feel obstacles are also like that. If that obstacle did not come, right, I will not be able to move forward. I will not be able to take help from Baba. I will not be able to really know where I am. Because drama is going to happen. Things are going to happen. And it's going to happen to everyone, right? For example, this coronavirus thing. It's not just, oh, all Baba's children are safe and everyone else in the world are not. We, along with everyone else in the world, are as unsafe or as safe as anyone else. But if I do not have the strength to take from Baba, if I don't have the practice of taking from Baba, and I feel that's what obstacles really do. They give me the strength, they give me practice. They're like gifts, you know, we have to see them as gifts. If I keep seeing an obstacle as an obstacle, then I'm not making the right kind of effort. If I see an obstacle and I think that is a gift, because if this doesn't happen today, then tomorrow something is going to happen where I will not be able to deal with it at all. So it's good that this happened today, because then Baba is giving drama, and Baba is going to give me the help that happens, whatever happens. And so it's important. And so we have to see obstacles as that. They are gifts, they're stepping stones, they're like giving me a lift to go up to Baba and be with Baba in the subtle regions. And so not to really ever see an obstacle as something bad.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Om Shanti, Sister Shireen. This is Rekha here. I just had a question.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about the two parts of the action. Every action, whatever we do, has to be seen by the others, right? That was one you told.
No, that others are seeing me to perform it.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I'm being watched.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then the second part you told that I will receive the rewards of the action, you told, right? But
Right.
when we are doing action, we won't do it in the expectation that we are going to get a reward for that, right? We just do the action. That altruistic actions they talk about, right?
Right. You know, Rekha Ben, is it?
Yes.
Rekha Ben, when we start, none of us are really pure or altruistic. When we start doing service, when we start doing action, deeply there is some kind of knowing that I'm going to get something back, and also I want something back. It could be the vices. I want someone to recognize me. I want someone to say, "Oh, you did a good job." All of those things. Any of the vices, right? Many of the vices come into play because we all have taken 84 lives, and we all are, not very pure at the end of the confluence, at the end of the Iron Age. And as time goes on, our actions become altruistic, because I'm not doing it because of any of the vices. I'm just doing it because I'm Baba's helper, and Baba wants me to do it. But there is a whole gray area between altruistic action and not doing action, right? That whole gray area, that period. And that is the time when I have to remember what Baba says. And that Baba says is, if I do something, I will receive the return of it. It is a karma philosophy that we have to understand. It is a It is one of the basic laws of the universe that I have to understand. And so this is even before altruism. Altruism comes much later. Just my everyday actions, just my everyday life as a spiritual person, as a Brahmin, as a BK, I have to remember this, that this universal law, that if I do something, I will receive the return of it.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Shireen Ben, now you can conduct meditation.
There'll be a song.
Commentary.
I didn't hear you. Gita Ben, you want me to do a commentary?
Commentary, yes.
Om Shanti. Take a deep breath. Breathe in and out. And while you are breathing in and out, focus your energies in between your eyebrows, behind your eyes. And see yourself as this beautiful, luminous being of light. The sparkling life force of this body. Now take a moment and focus at the corner of an object in front of you. It could be the tip of a chair, or a table, or a bookshelf, or a book. And then while seeing that, again pull yourself inside and see yourself as this luminous, sparkling star. Do that a couple of times. See the tip of that object. Again, bring your attention inwards and see yourself as light. Once more. See yourself as light while looking at a physical object. And now stabilize yourself inside as this luminous, beautiful soul. And from this vantage point, remember Baba, a sweet, beloved Baba, the incorporeal soul that is the ocean of love and ever pure. And be in this consciousness of being a soul and aware of Baba as another beautiful pulsating soul in front of you. And Baba is emanating rays of love and light Be in this consciousness for as long as you can. You are a soul and you're in front of Baba, another amazingly beautiful soul. And you feel so close to Baba. And all you see is Baba. And you're taking love and light and affection from Baba. Baba, my father, my friend, my teacher. He's everything for me. I realize that this is the effort I have to make. Become aware of myself as a bodiless soul and remember incorporeal Baba. And with determination that I will do this as often as I possibly can, I come back to the here and the now. Om Shanti.